Number two, I would like if the thing was a lot more simple. I saw a little article on this, and they summed it up in 100 words or something. Like, you may download the software, use the software, edit the software, so long as you, if you any redistribution has to include the source code with it and keep it free, and it's actually pretty simple stuff. And you make it formal, and there's the definition of you and definition of software thrown in there to be legal. But do we need all this other stuff going on, referencing this, that, and the other law? Do we need this? I don't know that. So number two, we would like some simplicity. Number three, we'd like clear compatibility with various other licenses. And number four, we'd like to have a handle on intentional programming, which is something hardly anyone's talking about right now. But basically, intentional programming is when, instead of storing the source code as in a text file, the computer stores in a database sort of form the logic of the program, which then can be interpreted in any manner of various text files in any various language, both natural and computer language, or even diagrams, or even intentional programming. I believe is totally the future, or something very much like it. Is totally it's gonna be like vacuum tubes to microchips, right? Okay, so how do we reach these things? Let's number one, we're going with different types of GPL. So we work hard. We make GPL v4 come out, maybe in a year or something. I don't know. We do V4, and V4 comes in several types. So the V4 Type A license, the V4 Type B license, Type A, B, C, D. Right? So A would be the really strong copyleft that we had in the GPL v3. Right? Then Type B could be essentially the GPL v2, what we currently have. Most people would go with the Type B then. Type C would be what they call the new, the lesser general public license, I think they call it. And this is one for libraries. And this is one of those weird areas of programming. It's okay, what if I take my open source code and I combine it with someone else's proprietary code? Does that make their proprietary code open source? Or is that illegal? Or is that, is my open source now their proprietary? How far can I combine my open source with other stuff before I violate things? Because if I combine it, if I actually mesh it together line by line, that's obviously something bad. But what if I'm just using it? That's what they found with libraries, which is like a stack of little data, which any program can use. Open source programs can use them. And proprietary, that means non-open source, programs can use them too. So they have the library public license. Well, now we just merge that into, and we call that GPL version 4 Type C. And then maybe Type D is barely open source at all. It's we request that you share the source code, but do what you like, or something like that. Which, okay, now we have 4 different versions of this, but they're all, structured the same. They're all compatible in with each other, so Type D stuff can easily be combined with Type B stuff, and that becomes Type B overall, and easy things like that, right? Which leads into point 3, actually, of easy license compatibility. If you have the GPL branching over these 4 different areas, or 5 different areas, or 3 different, I don't know, it should probably be a lot easier to take all the other random hundreds of licenses in the world and say that, hey, this matches up into this, or the other category of GPL. So, this various license here. Okay, this is GPL V, or GPL v4 Type C compatible, or something, right? And then maybe at the time of making the v4, you could actually write into each of the type definitions, programming, type definitions of, by the way, this is compatible with, and then list a whole bunch of licenses to go along with it. All right. As far as simplicity goes, we could just make the thing much simpler, just use less words. Or we could use the less words version as being essentially a summary posted at the beginning of the deal, and then there's all the complex stuff afterwards, which makes sort of the ultimate lawyerly thing, which kind of acts as like a built-in FAQ for telling you exactly how it works. I kind of prefer the simple version, but you could do a summary deal. Like, here's our summary, read this, and then if you're a lawyer, read the rest of this. And it goes on and on and on. Alright, that wouldn't be too hard too. And then you throw in some reference to intentional programming by the time this comes out. Intentional programming won't necessarily be around. Maybe just in the type A you say all intentional programming source stuff has to be shared. And then maybe in the GPL v5 we do all the types come over, so type A equals type A in terms of how strict it is, generally speaking. All the types come over, and then maybe the intentional programming stuff is now more explicit now that we know exactly what we're talking about. But overall, we have something which everyone can agree with. A new license which people can upgrade to, and they can have, hopefully, the simplicity, and they can have kind of the a la carte almost of choose how strict you want to be, and we can have something that makes sense. Of course, I don't know much about it. Thanks for watching. See you later.